All right, so to find what's going to be optimal for my trailer rust repair, I'm going to try a few different products here. Now, I have some incredibly rusty little pieces of steel, okay, and that's just some sheet metal that's been sitting outside for a few years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry those, or just in the rain, dry them, and I'm going to clean them up a little bit with some sandpaper, just kind of rough it up. I'm not going to do much with it. I'm just going to scrape the top basically. And then there's going to be, we're going to do this. So the first one here is going to be the rust remover gel, part number 23540. So we'll call this remover gel. The next one here is going to be the converter. And the last one is going to be, I'm not going to show the brand name, but a fairly well-known rust paint. Okay, so I'm going to do that with all of them. These are going to be a two-step process though, okay? So I know this, no matter what happens here, this is going to work better than this, because I just know that this rust paint stuff, it just doesn't work. I've tried it. I have not had good success. Maybe if you get the rust mostly gone, really cleaned up, maybe, but it just doesn't work all that well. So what I'm going to do here though is I'm going to use the rust remover gel according to the directions. I use the rust converter according to the directions, and I'm going to do nothing here right now, and I'll show you what these look like before they're coated. Then these two here are going to be coated in the epoxy primer spray, okay, part number 24840, which I have as part of this kit here. So I'm going to coat both of these then in the epoxy primer spray, and then half of them I'm going to tape it off, and half will be coated in the same rust paint as just a top coating. Okay, since it is just a primer. All right, and then they're going to sit outside, and I'm going to see what happens. The other thing to consider too is this this multi-metal coating can be used as a final, you know, paint finish. You don't have to put a coat over it. So that was one of the reasons that giving this a try would also be a good idea. But I'm trying to keep this test as basic as possible with the least amount of product, so I can see what these here actually do. The reason they have to be coated with something is because once they're the rust is removed or converted, it will rust again, I would imagine, quickly, especially this one here. If this cleans the rust like it says it does, it's going to rust like yesterday, like immediately after you clean it off. Bare metal rusts really fast. So we have to cover it with something, and that's why we're going to use those products there. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these up and apply the product. All right, so I've applied the product to both of these samples here. And I've given them all a light sanding. You can kind of see where, you know, how much I expected, or how much you can expect it they're cleaned up. Not a heck of a lot. I just sanded off the real bad stuff on the surface. Anything like that was basically already falling off there. So pretty much what, you know, hitting it with an air hammer or something would do. It's interesting, it hasn't been on there long. This one's already starting to turn black. And this one here has already got signs of some shinier bare metal, I think, than this one. This already has a little bit too. This one's supposed to take about an hour here, and this one 24 hours. So I'll have to clean this up and dry it and leave it inside here before this one's done working. So I applied this here with a brush. Just, you can see that I just brushed it on, and then this one here I applied with the brush as well. It comes in this box. of the 22240 rust converter. So this doesn't, this won't clean the metal per se. This says it'll turn the rust black and make it ready for paint, like other rust converters I've used. So that's kind of what we're waiting for here, is for all that rust to show as a black color. And I just brushed it on here, but it comes with this little container. It definitely smells different from any other rust converter I've used. Generally, they don't have much of an odor. This one does smell a little, definitely smells different. It's not the same as other stuff I've used, which I'm kind of excited about. I've had good success with rust converters, but we'll see what this one does. And yeah, you can choose the brush or the spray nozzle there. That all comes in the box for you. So if you're doing like, the frame of a vehicle, or I'm thinking for my trailer, this might be nice with the spray because of how quick I can just, knock some of it off with the air hammer, with the grinder, with a sanding wheel on it, just the surface, and then spray it all down with that, and then top coat it with primer, and then, maybe even a bed liner or just a really good paint. This stuff would definitely be a little bit, I think for my trailer, this may not be as good, because I think this is more for if you have something like, say like a brake caliper or something that, intricate part you really want to be perfect. And this probably doesn't, I would use this more on, metal storage containers or something like that. Again, that's just my opinion. I'm not, I don't work for these guys or anything. I just figured trying out a few of their products here, since I heard such good things about them, would be worth a go. So yeah, let's let this sit and see what happens. Well, it's been a few weeks now. These have just been sitting outside trying to see what kind of longevity we would get out of these sprayed pieces of metal. Now, if you remember before, that's how they looked. At the best, they're fairly pitted. And then we have the rust remover gel, primer, and paint. So primer and paint being their epoxy primer is the primer used for all of it. So part number 24840, and then some kind of a rust paint. So that's what that is. So that's the remover gel, and it did a really good job, but it takes much longer, obviously, than the converter. You can also see it left more of a pitted surface, because this actually ate the rust, when this one just turned it into like a hard paintable surface. But the repair held out just as. Now this one here was I just sanded this up. So just like a lot of people would do, and put this primer and the paint on there. And surprisingly, it held out pretty well. It's definitely still rusting though underneath, and like on a vehicle or something, or a trailer, this wouldn't last very long. And then this was just the rust paint, just 3 coats of rust paint. So I don't know if it's just that there was another, like the one coat of primer, because I put the one thin coat of their epoxy primer spray on here, or if there is actually some kind of rust inhibitor in here. But it definitely did help cut down on the rust anyway. So a really good idea, I would say, for a longer repair would be when you use either of these two products, don't just skip a good primer. Use that good primer, because it definitely, as you can see between these two, that's the only difference between these was the primer. And then these ones, the rest was actually treated. So, night and day difference if you got like I said, a trailer, some artwork, a vehicle, something, some railings or something on your house. Basically anything that has rust on it that you want to protect, this stuff works great. So yeah, part numbers will all be in the description, so check it out, and that is the result. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you like seeing a random video once in a while. I don't pop up a lot of videos, so it's not something you're going to see every day, or hell, even every week. But hit like and subscribe if you want to see more videos, and they can slowly be made as I get time. Thanks, guys. Later.